again, the crown of your head, as well as the edges, this can snatch that progress, okay? So we don't want, again, we don't want snatched edges, and we don't want broken crowns, okay? So with that being said, hey guys, welcome back. What's up, subbies, and what's up, newbies? That's anybody peeping in here, maybe for the first time. Maybe this is your second peep. We really don't count around here. It doesn't even matter. I just want my peepers and my peoples to come on in. Okay, so today, this is going to be a quickie. Okay, this is going to be a quickie. So, I am posing this question to you. To style or not to style? Protective style, that is. That is the question. Whether 'tis noble in the mind to... Well, you get the point. That is the question. There's been much ballyhoo and back and forth about protective styling. Whether it's good, whether it's bad, which ones hurt your growth or progression, and which ones help. So I'm just going to come in here really quickly and give my 2 cents about this subject. So, as you guys know, I do not use protective styling in my whole regimen. I used to protective style a lot a long time ago. And when I say protective styling, I used to put my hair in a ponytail, okay, and then put it in a bun so that everything's tucked up and I don't have to do it every day. Or it was sort of a braid out, but it was like wavy crimps. So I would crimp my hair and wear it that way, okay? That way, again, I'm not touching it throughout the week. Or I would curl it up sort of like what I did last week, okay? Not exactly, because last week, if you haven't seen it, I did my attempt at the beachy wave thing, you know. So I used to do a variation of that, but it would be like actual curls. And I did a video on that a while back called the 70s style. But I used to use that as a protective style as well. Now it's funny because when I did post that one, someone mentioned or someone offered that wasn't a protective style, because protective styles, you need to protect your ends. She was saying that what I was doing was a low manipulation style, as if there were a difference. So I said, no, au contraire, mon frère. Protective stylings or protective styles are just that. They are low to no manipulation styles, so that you're not combing it every day, you're not manipulating it every day. You're basically keeping your interaction with your hair at a minimum to stave off or lessen any breakage, especially around the time when your hair is growing in. I say about 4 weeks plus, and your new growth gets to be, you know, more dominant or more prominent, I should say. This is when a lot of people like to employ protective styles, especially those who stretch their relaxers. So with that being said, my hairstyles, or the ones that I employ to protect my hair, they are protective styles as well, meaning protect my hair from breakage. Because the way that I see it is this: there are 2 types of protective styles, okay, as far as aesthetically. There are ones that are more so that hide your hair, okay? And there are ones where it can show off your hair. So the ones that hide your hair or cover your hair are protective styles where it's like wigs, or if you bun your hair up or you wear it, some type of cap. A lot of people like to use wigs or weaves as a protective style or protective covering, if you want to get real technical about it. Protective covering to protect their hair and keep their hands out of their hair and sort of hide your hair away. Some braided styles are the same. And then you have those that let your hair just be free for the week where you're not touching it. They're very low to no maintenance. And this will be like straw sets or curly rod sets, because you're not combing that every day. You take the little rods out and you may separate them, put a little serum on them, and let them be free and curly for the rest of the week. but you're not combing it, you're not keeping your hands in it, and so forth and so on. So that, or the style that I like to employ as far as the big curls, as well as braid outs. Okay, now we all know about braid outs. So it's basically you braid up your hair, then you let it loose, and then it's crinkly. You don't comb that, or most people don't comb that throughout the week. A lot of people like to use that. So that's how I break down, for me, just my 2 cents. That's how I break down the 2 protective style categories as far as aesthetics. And I guess ponytail would be a hybrid between the 2, because if you use the ponytail, then of course, you're putting it up and you put the bun in, you can see your hair, but you're not, you're tucking in your ends. So there's that. But that's not so much the focus of what we are going to talk about right now. But again, I wanted to put that out there that for me, there's 2 types. Anyway, so with regard to the protective styles, as you have heard, and I do agree that there are some protective styles that are not so protective, okay, because they actually add more stress to the hair, therefore can cause more breakage. Styles like tight braids, we've already gone over this. Anything that's going to pull on your scalp or lead to more tension on the hair, you don't need nothing like that, because over time, not only can it stress out your hair and cause breakage, but it can also stress your follicles and cause hair loss, especially around the hairline. When we talk about edges and we snatched edges and everything, we don't want those snatched, okay? That's not supposed to be a literal term. We don't want no edges snatched. And so with that being said, some of these styles can snatch your edges. So not only tight braids, but also some wigs, okay? Be careful of the wigs that you're wearing, whether you're gluing them down or using some type of adhesive. Again, I know that I'm not a wig expert. That's not my forte. But I did hear on the lace wig streets that you now can do wigs without doing the adhesives. So just my little 2 cents. Let's make it 5. So my little 5 cents is that I would not use any type of adhesive around my edges. You know that your edges, as well as the nape of your neck, they can be made up of very fine hairs. Therefore, they're very delicate and more susceptible to breakage. So with that being said, there are plenty of wigs around where it's actually like fitted. You know what I mean? And you experts out there, you know what I'm talking about. But you can use them without adhesives. We're not talking about chin straps. We ain't talking about those, okay? So we're talking about the ones that can fit comfortably around the circumference of your head without causing any damage because of adhesives or anything like that. Now, there's also been talks about ponytails. A lot of talk about when you wear a ponytail as a protective style, you should move where you are putting that ponytail, where you are focusing that holding of the ponytail on your head. Sometimes you should wear it a little higher. Sometimes you should wear it a little lower, and so forth and so on. Now, I'm just going to say from my experience, I have not had any issues putting it in the same place. Now, overall, you probably won't be putting it in the same exact space, but even in the same vicinity, I really haven't had any problems, because not only before I put my hair, or used to put my hair in a ponytail, I would make sure it was moisturized so it wasn't dry. And also, I never made it really tight. Okay, so I think that's part of the key of that. I'm not going to debate anybody's experience as far as putting the ponytail in the same place and experiencing breakage. I'm not going to debate that, because I cannot debate anybody's experience. I'm talking about my experience, and I haven't had an issue with that, but maybe because also I never wore it in a really tight ponytail. I never did that. Back in the day, I used to use the scrunchies. They're pronounced scrunchies, but it's technically a scrunchie, but that's okay. That's another 2 cents for you. Anyway, you know what I'm talking about. The little silk puffy, ponytail holders. I used to wear those, and those aren't too tight anyway. And then you never use a rubber band on your hair because that will dry up and pull on your hair. Rubber bands are never good for your hair. Do not use those on your hair because it can catch, when you're doing the loop and you're trying to make it tight or whatever. It can get caught up in that loop. As well as the rubber band itself is dry rubber. It can rub up against your hair and cause breakage that way. It's good for holding the male together, but it is not good for holding our ponytail. It just isn't. The old school little ballies, we call them ballies. I'm from Philly. 215, West Philadelphia, born and raised. I'm from Philly, and we call them ballies. But the little ponytail holders that you put on little girls' heads, and they would have the balls at the end and the little metal fastener in between to hold the two elastic balls on the ends. Well, that middle part can catch your hair as well as the elastic. So we don't want to use that. As far as the ballies, it's best to use something that is seamless. And so they have seamless ponytail holders as well as the scunchies. But the whole point is, don't use anything stressful on your ponytail. And another thing, as far as doing the buns, I said this a while back in another video, as far as do not use bobby pins or hairpins that do not have the rubber stopper at the point of the bobby pin. Okay, so the prong, the end of the prong, that you want that covered in that covering, in that little coating. Otherwise, if you're using old bobby pins that do not have that covering, it can cut through your hair, literally, as you're working it through your hair in your hairstyle. If it doesn't have that bumper on the end, it can break your hair as it's going through your hair. And we don't want that. So that's another thing. So as far as the ponytails, again, I haven't had an issue, but if you have, because I've heard where people, the nape of their neck, because of the tension from the ponytail, they've experienced breakage back here. Make sure that it is not tight, okay? Because again, the back of your hair, the nape of your neck, it's more so made out of finer hairs than the rest of your head. So with that being said, let's be mindful as far as the nape of our neck and not wear anything that's going to pull on it or stress it out. So do I think protective styles are useful? Absolutely. And I do believe that they helped me get to a certain point years ago, because that way you're not always focused in on your hair, but it always looks done. So you don't have to do it every day. You keep your hands out of it for the rest of the week, or however you take care of your hair. I do mine once a week, but some people do it every other week, which is once every 2 weeks, or so forth and so on. So with that being said, it helps to keep manipulation at a low, especially during the times where we're having new growth and we're dealing with two different textures, or even naturals, or those with very fine hair that seem prone to breakage with a lot of manipulation. Protective styles do work. I definitely agree. I don't believe we should throw the baby out with the bathwater and just not do any protective styles. But of course, choose the one that is right for you, for your aesthetic, for what you like. So with that being said, I wanted to break down the pros and the cons. The pros, of course, is that you can protect your hair. Okay, you ain't got to worry about it. You ain't got to wake up and take 10 to 15 minutes to do it every day, this and that. Honey, your style is already taken care of. So even with when I used to wear it flipped, or when I used to wear the big curls like Shirley Temple, I would roll it up at night and then I would just take it out. I didn't even comb it. And that's why I said that for me, that was a protective style, because I never really combed it. I would just sort of finger it, so that it would hang a little bit, because, after you take in the curls, your curls are like this. So after, it just hangs a little bit and so forth and so on, I put a little bobby pin on the side and I would keep it moving. So that's what I used to do. That's part of the pros, is that it's easy peasy and it's very quick, and you don't have to worry about styling it every day. And as well as you have a style that looks good and that is versatile, and for the most part, very versatile for wherever you go. As well as it's going to protect, it's going to help you with your goal as far as gaining length, as well as protect your hair as far as its health, because you're not putting heat in it. You're not putting heat in it every day because you're either curling it up or pin curling it or whatever, or you have a braid out that you just put a bonnet on, or you rebraid and take it out in the next day, whatever your pleasure. But it keeps the heat out of your hair for those of us who do use heat. So those are a couple of the pros, okay? And the cons, the only ones that I can think of are, well, number one, of course, you want to choose the right protective style, which is what we touched on earlier. You don't want anything too tight, because anything that you think is protecting your hair and then it's not, then that's going to lead to breakage. We don't want breakage. We're anti-breakage around here. So that's one of the cons, not choosing the right protective style, as well as number two, this is just, again, this is just me talking. You don't get to see your hair. I like to have fun with my hair. I like to see it. I like to see its progress. So that's like the only con that I can really think of. I like to see my hair. And that's why I do not use protective styles, because I like to see the progress and sort of, play in my hair, just a little bit, and enjoy it while you got it, enjoy it. A lot of people now, I've noticed, and we've talked about this before, a lot of people, protective styles, they last pretty much for a long time. Like they'll keep the protective style in for months. And is that's a no-no. Okay, now I don't think I'm alone in that one. Your hair still needs care while it's protected, because the protection does not mean 100% protection. You still have to keep up the health of your hair. And this can mean shedding, even with braids, and some of the weaves that require braids, or just your hair just being, covered up for a while. You want to wash your hair. You want to keep your scalp clean. And also you want to rid your hair of any shed hair, because your hair is still going to shed. That's a natural part of the whole cycle of hair growth, is shedding your hair. So with that being said, you don't want to keep your braids in too long where everything is shedding and it's, accumulating in the braids. And then when you take out the braids, it's more hassle than what it's worth, because now you're trying to easily take out the braids as well as disentangle the shredded hair from the hair that's still attached to your head. And that could be a mess. That could be a matted mess, and that can be a mess, period. So I would say that is one of the pros and the cons, if you will. Pro is that you can not touch your hair for a long time. And the con is that you can't keep it in too long, because that could lead to a mess and breakage anyway, which was something that you were trying to avoid. Especially, like I said, with these takeout styles and the styles that really hide your hair and don't allow your hair the natural process of shedding hair, then yeah, I don't recommend anything as far as a protective style that's going to keep your hair bound and set away for months and months. I just don't recommend that, but everybody's their own person. But I don't recommend that, and I wouldn't want to do that. That's just not appealing to me. But a lot of people, I think, they use their protective styles too long. They keep them in too long, and I think that's where a lot of problems can persist as well. And again, that can lead to a setback. These protective styles, I think a lot of people are employing them for too long and then not maintaining their hair while they're in them, because they think that protective styles are 100% protective, and they're not. Protective styles are only half of the work as far as protecting your hair, and you have to do the other half. And that means choosing the right style, as well as choosing the correct duration in which to use these protective styles, as well as maintaining your hair while in these styles, because you still got to keep it clean and stuff, whatever. Like I said, I just wanted to add my little voice, my little tiny voice. Hey, I feel protective styles, I think they're good. I think they're useful. I do. But again, it's only half the work. It's 50%. You still got to come to the table with your other 50%, because the protective style is not 100% protective. You got to do the work still to make sure to maintain the health of your hair, as well as that length retention. Okay, so that was I think at this point we about, what is it? It was 5 cents, 2 cents, and 2 of the 2 cents, and this and that. I think we got about a dime, maybe 15 cents. I'm not really sure. You tell me out there how many cents I gave y'all. But that was my contribution, my coinage contribution to this whole conversation. So, to protective style or not to protective style? That was the question. And I think we got our answer. And with that being said, we are going to put a button on it. So that wasn't too bad, right? We were in and out, okay? I want to thank you so much for dialing in and showing up. I really do appreciate it. I really do. I really do. And yeah, we'll be back talking about some more stuff. Honey, get back here because we got stuff to do. So you gotta come back for that. So you already know. It's going to be the same Dolce dial. It's going to be the same Dolce channel. So you come on